So good morning. You need to be copying this into your comp books. So somebody just asked me which side it goes on. It would preferably be on 2 blank side-by-side pages. But if it's not already there, that's fine. Wherever you have it, you just need to be able to find it. So make sure that you put the date on your paper. Okay? The first thing that I need from you guys today, I'm actually going to need your help figuring out how to pace this unit, because I don't know what all of your background is like. So some of you came from junior highs where they did a lot of chemistry, and some came from where you hardly did any, and that kind of thing. So I need to know what you're familiar with. So these are the terms that we're going to be using in this unit, and what I need you to do, this is very complicated. If it is something that you are familiar with, like, hey, I've heard of this before, put a check mark next to the term. If it is something that you have done before, like I've calculated this, I've learned this, I did this in the 9th grade, put 2 check marks next to it. Does that make sense to you? Okay, so for me, like if I had been doing this when I was in the 6th grade, I had heard of pH because there was this commercial at the time that was about deodorant, and it said strong enough for a man, but pH balanced for a woman. And so I knew the word pH, but I had no idea what it meant. I would have put a check mark. Okay? By the 10th grade, when I'd gone through and actually figured out how to calculate it, I would have put 2 check marks. That's the difference that I'm looking for. Okay? So for acids, this is crazy. We'll start with pH. Right. See how I'm writing it over to the side? You are eventually going to be adding things over on the other side. So write them to the side. I need to know, have you heard of a weak acid? Have you heard of a conjugate acid? And no, that's not like one of those foreign language things where you're conjugating verbs. It's a different thing. Have you heard of a Ka? I'm going to make this a little bigger now that most of you have your chart down. And have you heard of an equilibrium constant? So a quick survey of what you guys already know. How many of you have 2 check marks after pH? How many of you have 1 check mark after pH? All right. So we can spend some time on this because you're going to have to figure out how to calculate it, but it looks like we don't need to spend a lot of time on this one. How about a weak acid? All right. How many of you have 1 check mark on weak acid? 2 check marks? Okay, so there's like 2 people in here who've done weak acids before, so we'll talk about that one a little more. Conjugate acid? 1 check mark? 2 check marks? All right, so nobody? Nobody with 2. All right, Ka. All right, I teach AP Chem. Nobody knows what Ka is at the beginning of AP Chem either, so that's. Equilibrium constant? Okay, 1 person. And was that 1 check or 2? Okay. All right, so those are the things that you're going to be looking at, all of these terms. You guys are familiar with pH, which is good because that's what we're going to be using today. Now for bases, how many of you have, well, these are the terms that you're going to be learning. POH. This is crazy. You're going to see a little bit of parallels here. Weak base. Conjugate base. KB. And actually, equilibrium constant just belongs to both of these, so I'm going to put an arrow because they're going to be both of them. Okay, so this is the one that I've been waiting for all day. How many of you have one check mark after POH? All right, how many of you have two? Okay, so there are 4 of you who have some experience with POH. How many of you have a check mark after weak base? Conjugate base? I'm going to just guess it if you don't know conjugate acid, conjugate base, possibly not. And then KB. Okay. So we have acids and we have bases. Then we come down to neutrals. And for neutrals, I just need to know if you've ever heard of KW. Anybody? Okay, good. Now for the calculations part. We are, first of all, not doing any calculations today. Today is not the day where we start introducing the new math stuff. But there are calculations that we're going to do. This first one, I'm hoping that you guys recognize this. How many of you are familiar with molarity? Okay, 1 check mark, 2 check marks. You took a test over this yesterday. I was there. Okay. So how many of you have calculated molarity before? How many of you have 2 check marks? All right, I'm going to hope you guys are pretty much experts on calculating molarity at this point. How many of you have done a logarithm before? We're just going to call it a log because that's all I ever write. Okay. Okay, so 1 check mark if you've done a logarithm before and you know how where the button is on your calculator. 2 check marks if you actually know what it means. Okay. 1 check mark. 2. Okay. And then anti-log. 1. 2. How many of you have done the 10 to the x button on your calculator? Okay, that is anti-log. I'm going to call it anti-log. If you want to call it 10 to the x, that's great. All right, so those are the 3 main calculations that we're going to do for this. But for today's lab, we're going to focus on pH. I want you to turn to the person next to you. Is there a person next to you? Okay. Turn to the person next to you and explain what you think pH is. You can talk to Max if you want to. Okay. 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 That fierce glare was on camera. That was awesome. Okay, so how many of you heard a really good description of a pH? Okay. If you heard it, I want you to repeat what that person, the really good description, I want you to repeat what that person said to you back to them to make sure you heard it right. And then I'm going to have you tell me what you heard. Okay, so Alyssa, you raise your hand when you heard the really good one. So you guys talk for a second. While you do that, I'm going to get everybody else started. Okay, Alyssa, what did you hear? Okay, so do you remember, does anybody remember the name of the little paper? Litmus paper. Okay. Jace, did you have something you wanted to add to it?
Potential of hydrogen.
The potential of hydrogen?
Yes.
Where'd you come up with that? Google. Google is brilliant. Okay, the potential of hydrogen is one way to look at it. Because the H in pH does stand for hydrogen. All right? So it is a potential of hydrogen. Now, I always say the P in pH actually is a silent P because it stands for logarithm. All right? It's the logarithm of your hydrogen ion concentration. So we call it logarithm. Don't ever say that out loud because, like, you know how nerdy I am. That's what your credit will be like, too. Yes? Okay, it does have to do some with polarity because we're talking about things with charges. Anything else? A high level of pH? Yeah, can be pretty bad. Yes?
It's the scale from 0 to 14. How is that?
Okay. Scale from 0 to 4. It's like I planned to do in the audience. Scale of 0 to 14 for how acidic or basic a substance is. That's great. That is what pH is about. It's figuring out how acid or how base something is. So what we're going to be doing today, we have these substances. And you're going to have to take a little bit of a risk here. So I'm going to give you these substances. I'm going to give you a list of them. And before you're allowed to figure out if they're acid or base or neutral, before you figure those things out, you have to predict what they're going to be. Okay, every substance that we're talking about today is something that you would normally run into during the day. In fact, some of them I brought from home today. So to begin with, the first substance is vinegar. And then we're going to use baking soda. Now the baking soda is going to be an aqueous solution. Dissolved in water. You're not putting a litmus paper onto like a piece of baking soda, a pile of baking soda salt. That would just kind of get it dirty and not do anything for you. We're going to use water. This water comes out of the tap. So it's not distilled water that comes in a special bucket. We just turn the water on in the lab. All right. Then table salt. Guess what state of matter the table salt will be in? Yes, it's going to be aqueous also, because if you just put the litmus paper on the pile. All right. Mouthwash, which I hope you guys have experienced today. The next one, after mouthwash, I'm changing colors, and you might see a pattern in a minute to understand why. After mouthwash is shampoo and lotion. The lotion that I had up here on the bar, so it's been sitting up here for like 3 years. So 3-year-old skin lotion. Rubbing alcohol. Shaving cream. This is the same shaving cream that we blew up in the vacuum chamber. Okay. Hydrogen peroxide, not exactly the same stuff. I didn't scrape it out of there. Okay. Hydrogen peroxide. Bubble soap. Now, by bubble soap, I mean that soap that you would use to blow bubbles. So the bubble soap with like a wand. You know what I'm talking about? Okay, we did when we were doing the gases lab, we used it. Okay, and then dish soap is the last one. I'm running out of space here. I hope you're not. I just double spaced it so that you guys could see everything. So I'm going to cram the last 3 in here. They should. I'm going to change to a third color. Ammonia, like Parsons lemon ammonia that you would clean with. Bleach, like bleach. And then laundry soap. These are all different substances that you would probably find at home. Okay, I'm hoping. So what I would like you to do now, in the next column should be your prediction. Okay? So where you have your prediction, this is what I need you to write. If you think it's an acid, write an A. If you think, wait, don't start yet. If you think it's a base, write a B. If you think it's neutral, write an N. Do you see the pattern? Okay, so you've got acid, base, and neutral. However, I want you to, when you make your predictions, I want you to get with your lab group, and I want you to talk like for maybe 10 seconds about the stuff before you make your prediction. Okay? You don't have to have this huge, deep, and philosophical discussion about it. You might have an opinion already. You don't have to change your opinion just because they don't have the same opinion that you do. But I want you to discuss them a little bit in case one of you has an idea somebody else doesn't have. Okay? So lab groups 2 or 3, the usual people that you work with, and you will be doing the lab with these people, so choose carefully. Okay? Go ahead. DJ. Yes. Laundry soap. So I think it's borax we have out there. Am I breaking it? Yeah. Do I need to? Okay. Circulate. Okay, good. Where's your lab group? Is it going to be you two? Okay. So how about you talk to each other? Okay. So predictions.
Yeah.
Wow. Did you predict where we were going?
What?
Did you just do all that?
Yeah.
Nice. Okay.
You trying to spell something?
Banana.
Banana.
Yeah. I think if I'd have been more creative, we could have spelled banana out of this, but no.
Well, when you taste salt, there's a difference between salt and... So when you taste something acidic, it tastes sour. When you taste something...
Yes.
So, I don't have a lab partner. Anybody?
You don't have a lab anybody? So when we get over there, you're looking for a group of 2. Just join them.
Okay.
All right.
I shall.
All right, but you two talk to each other about what these will be. Okay.
This soapy basis soap.
Yeah.
Okay, I see some groups that are really close.
I don't know what shampoo is.
What are you guys thinking?
It's a weird pattern.
Yeah, the pattern that you have isn't necessarily what's going to turn out to be true, but yes. I'm sorry, what?
Can I turn the vibrator off on my phone? It's really annoying.
Sure. Okay, now what I need. Need you guys to take a look up here. You ready? I need one person from each lab group. Raise your hand. So look around and make sure there's not somebody else from your lab group with their hand up. Okay. So I'm going to do really quick. I just want you, I'm not going to write anything down up here, but I just want you to look around when I ask, like I say vinegar. If you thought vinegar was acid, raise your hand. If your group did, just that person who had their hand up. If your group thought vinegar was an acid, raise your hand. If you thought it was a base, neutral. Okay. Baking soda, acid. Base. Neutral. No opinion. Okay. Science, this is Christy. Hey, Tim. Sure. Thanks. Bye. Ethan, they need you next. Okay. Water, acid, base, neutral. Brilliant. Table salt, acid, base, neutral. Okay. Mouthwash, acid, base, neutral. Okay. Okay, have you guys figured out what the difference between the first group and the second group is yet? Yes, different colored pens. Thank you. Yes, that's what the difference is. Okay. Shampoo. Acid, base, neutral. All right. Lotion, acid, base, neutral. Rubbing alcohol. Okay. Acid? We don't even need to go on with that one. Shaving cream, acid, base, neutral. Okay? I'm sorry about that. Hydrogen peroxide, acid, base, neutral. And then bubble soap. Acid, base, neutral. Dish soap, acid, base, neutral. Ammonia, acid, base, neutral. Bleach, acid, base, neutral. And then last one, laundry soap, acid, base, and neutral. Okay. So you all had a huge variety of opinion about what each thing would be. So there was one thing where everybody said it was neutral. What was that one? Water. 100% of you said that. Everything else, it was like a third, a third, a third. So there is one right answer for these. When you go in and you test them, you're going to have one particular answer for them. In order to test these, we're going to be using litmus paper. We have two different colors of litmus paper for you. One is red, okay, and one is blue. Does anybody remember what color red litmus paper turns? Blue, okay. Red turns blue, okay, and then blue turns red. But, I mean, that's great. It'll be pretty. It'll be interesting. However, if you don't know what it means, it's not going to help you much. So the way to remember this, if it goes from blue to red, this is how I was taught this in college. Blue to red, acid. Red to blue, base. So if it turns blue, it is a base. What if it doesn't change? It's neutral. Okay? So those are your options. You have blue to red, red to blue, and neutral. And you honestly have, truly, as a class, overall, really no idea what your answer is going to be for anything but water, right? So as you go through this, this is how you're going to do the lab itself. You have tweezers to hold the litmus paper with, so you're not getting this stuff on your hands. You're going to pick up a red litmus paper and put it in, and then you're going to pick up a blue litmus paper and put it in. Please don't put them both in at the same time because they actually contaminate each other's colors, okay? So one at a time, red and blue. If neither of them change, then you know it's neutral. There's a little trough on each table. You'll put the litmus paper in the trough instead of putting it, like trying to throw it away. Okay? When you do that, I need you to be careful to make sure that you don't use the litmus paper in more than once. You use one piece, and then you throw it away, and then you get another piece. Okay? You can touch the litmus paper to put it in the tweezers. Please don't hold the litmus paper to put it into the substances, all right? Some of them can really damage your skin. You do have to wear goggles because this is they're chemicals. You do need to have your hair tied back, okay? The substances are not in order, so you need to make sure you match the substance name to where it is on your table, okay? And as you're doing this, you need to keep track of anything that surprises you. Okay? Any questions? All right. I know that some of these look pretty tasty, but there is no taste column on your data table, so please, I know, super sad. Okay, so what I need you to do now is just get with your lab group and head over to the other side, please. Yep. Okay. This is. Okay, as soon as you're with your group and you're ready to go and everybody's wearing their goggles, you can go ahead and get started. Yes. Okay, you just go ahead and get started and he can catch up with you. Okay.
Is actual with 2 L's or 1 L?
1 L.
Come on. I just started with 2 L's.
Well, actually it has 2 L's. That's probably why. Okay.
Actually,
Yeah, so that makes sense. Yep, okay. So what did you say this would be?
Laundry soap.
Laundry soap, so what did you say?
Yesterday was acid.
Okay, so now let's see what it is.
You take this thing, just dip it in there.
Say that again. Dip it in. Yep.
For a swim.
Ah, turn blue. So what is it?
Red base.
It's a base.
Is that sort of blue?
I would call it neutral, or at least no change yet. So
now we should go.
So what was that?
Bleach.
Wait. You're bleached? Let me see that.
Well, it started.
How in the world would we break the bleach? There's your blue. Sorry about this. Ah, the worst tweezers in the world. All right, there's insufficient bleach in here.
Stir it up.
Okay, you guys want backup?
Still red. Some neutral. What was that? And I tried both colors.
Let's try this one again.
All right. Even with both colors. What's that one?
There we go.
There we go. Okay.
All right. Thank you for checking with me because that would have been like tragic. You guys get what you're doing?
Yeah.
That's kind of gross looking. What have you got so far?
Just this one. That stuff.
Your dish soap was neutral? You thought it would be base?
Is that right?
Yep.
The blue didn't change.
Hmm?
The blue didn't change. So it's not in there.
Oh, it changed really fast. All right.
Change the blue. So it's a base.
I usually just stand back and watch when they're doing this stuff. So. Okay. Okay, if you're waiting, there's an empty spot over here. Was that red to begin with?
Yes.
Then no, that's not a change.
But there's a little spot of blue right there.
You contaminated it,
Okay,
man.
it's from either
Maybe
acid
from
or
the
neutral.
probes.
It was from the shaker.
Mouthwash is acid.
Going good so far? All right, goggles, and then Barbara was waiting for you. So.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay. Come on.
You should.
You're getting good. How many of you have found one that isn't what you expected yet? Nobody heard me. Rubbing alcohol is neutral? Okay.
That's actually something I didn't think was
Legit.
Hey guys, just head over there where that one's pretty empty.
Vinegar with red did not change.
So,
Awesome.
Either.
shit, a lot of these.
Hey,
S word. A lot of these are contaminated.
I do that a lot. I like give like random things. To see what people. What did they got this on it? Oh yeah, exactly.
From blue. Yeah. What is that?
Shaving cream is base. I didn't notice it being half
Shaving cream.
That's right there, where all those.
Shaving cream, and we need
Water we know.
and
Water we
table
already
salt.
know.
Water's, yeah, neutral.
well, you want to verify that. You know there actually could be something wrong with our litmus paper around here. You laugh at me. How's it going for you?
I did it right. I only did it.
For you? Okay. No, that's pretty good. How's it going for you guys?
Pretty decent.
Any of them that you found that would surprise you yet?
Okay, Hutchinson's last night didn't change anything.
What's the red blue in this space, right? Oh, you're going neutral.
Do you have them all? Yeah. Let me see what you got. If you would wait just a minute till more people are done, keep your goggles on, and then I'll.
We're done.
You're done? Okay. How close are you? Done? Okay. You guys have a little bit because you were in the office. All right. How close are you guys? Okay. How close are you guys? Almost? Yeah, go ahead, put your goggles away and go back if you're done. How much do you guys have left?
Well, we have this table, that table.
All right.
Next is shampoo. Wow, that's so good. Stay blue.
Bleach his base?
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Did you? So when you guys talked, you changed your answer on this? Is that what you thought? Makes sense. Good. Did you change your answer from the right answer to the wrong answer?
Yep.
Uh-huh. That's how that works.
I should not be taking.
Please don't. Yes, I appreciate it. All right.
Oh wait, Dre.
Okay, if you're done, goggles off. You guys head down and wash your hands. Hey, you guys who are finished. Ladies and gentlemen, did you wash your hands? Would you please go down and wash your hands? Pardon me? Hey, Mouse. You all done? Yeah, would you put your goggles on until you're actually done, and then head down when you guys are done and wash your hands, okay? Head down and wash your hands when you're done, please.
What's table salt?
No, just go to the just quietly in the hall.
Okay.
What is that? Blue to red.
Red to blue.
We have
Next is laundry
I
soap.
got
With the
my
red.
laundry soap. I got one.
Blue.
You lied to me. I didn't take the red. I took the blue.
You've been deceived. It's sad. Okay, head down and wash your hands, please. And yeah, just the bathroom for today.
So now we're doing our banana.
Having fun with this?
No, I'm not. This is not okay. Okay.
Yes.
Well, you have a group. You can make them do it.
Okay. No, I want to do that.
Okay.
No.
Three more? Thank you, Cameron. Matt, would you open the door, please? Thank you.
Blue. Red to blue.
All done? Oh. How close are you guys?
We're done now.
You're done? Great. Anything surprise you?
Is rubbing alcohol neutral?
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Yeah,
That
that-
was acid.
Yeah, most people think that just because it's so
Yeah.
stingy, and acids sting. Yeah.
It did not change. With this.
Yep.
Alright, it didn't change. We're good.
Okay, if this is what you're using,
Yeah.
this soap. Okay. I think it was actually supposed to be hand soap. I think it was just mislabeled, but it's okay.
Oh, okay.
We'll be fine. Okay. Amanda, would you like me to just carry?
Alright, be the first model. I'll totally do that.
Okay, so they're going to wash their hands and coming back.
I'm gonna go wash my hands with her.
Okay, hurry please.
listen, he's like
Okay. So how many of you have all of the data written down now? All right. If your lab group has the data because you were doing like handling things and you don't have it all written down, make sure you get all of that down. The next step is to look at the predictions and look at the categories. The first color that I had written in blue, did you guys figure out what all of those were? Anybody have a guess? The first category that's all written in blue. So what do these things have in common? Vinegar, baking soda, water, table salt, and mouthwash. Pardon me? Okay, they're things that you would actually eat. Okay? They're things that would end up in your mouth. So there's stuff that people like use in food. There's stuff that people use on their, like brushing their teeth, that kind of thing. So you would have like really direct physical contact. Okay, so that's the first category. What is the second category? Lotion, rubbing alcohol. Yeah. Okay, so instead of in, these are all on. These are things that you would put on your skin but not necessarily eat. Okay? And then what's the last group? Cleaning supplies. Around. So we have in, on, and around. Is there something that they have in common, like within the group? In their pHs, is there something that they have in common? Say that again? Okay, so they're on a safe area of a pH, so you would know that. Okay. Okay, take a look at the things you ate. The things that you would eat. What is their general pH? Are they acid or base? Okay. The things that would go in your mouth, you found that most of them were base. Okay. The vinegar is acid, though. All right. Some of those things that you would put in your mouth don't actually taste good, like baking soda. Okay. What does baking soda taste like? Have any of you tasted it? Disgusting. Okay. Yes, it does taste disgusting. That disgusting taste. Flip back. Well, for you guys, it should be next to you. Look at this one here. Where it says bases, write the word bitter here. That's that disgusting taste. That's something that you're just going to have to take my word for, and hopefully you have the experience of somewhere along the line you've tasted something like baking soda, so you understand when I say bitter taste. Does anybody have a guess or know what the taste of an acid would be? Sour. Okay. How do you know that? Okay. Sour, lemons. Okay, so this is all stuff that you already know, right? Now the last thing that I need you to do for this part of the lab with your lab group is figure out the pH range. Before you do that, what is the pH of neutral? This you know because we did it before. 7. Okay? So if it's neutral, it's 7. If it's not neutral, if it's an acid, what was its range? Okay, so if it's an acid, I hear you guys saying the numbers, but you're saying them actually backwards. So according to the pH scale, if you go here, if you're at 0 to 7 to 14, right? From here to here is acid. And from here to here is base. Okay, so the bigger the number is, the more base it is. Does that make sense? In the last column on your table, I want you to write the range. Like for vinegar, you said it was an acid. So somewhere along the line, you know its pH range is 1 through 7. Our goal tomorrow is to take this range and narrow it down so you can figure out an actual pH for the things instead of having this huge range for it. Okay? That's what we're going to learn about tomorrow. But for today, go through and do the range. Would you do that now, please? You can just talk with your group about it. I just realized I didn't take attendance. As usual. Barbara? Uh-huh.
Water 7, right?
You said it was neutral, right?
Yeah.
So, yep.
So anything neutral is something.
Yeah. So the neutral ones are the easiest ones to write in, right?
Neutrals, you just put 7.
Mhm.
Neutral.
I don't know the pH.
Don, are you doing all right? Okay. So you're putting in the pH range here.
Would it be 1 to 7 or 0 to 7?
You can put 1 to 7. 0 just means it's like 100. The molarity is 1, so 1 molar. And then 1 would be a molarity of 0.1 molar. Got it? All right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I woke up.
Okay, I do have one that actually I have a question about. Would you guys take a look at your dish soap answer? What did you guys get for dish soap? Raise your hand if you got dish soap as acid. Raise your hand if you got it as neutral. Okay. It is supposed to be neutral, but it was a funny color, so it was hard to see if it was neutral or not. Acids tend to sting when you put your hands in them. So when they're making things for you to put your hands in, they tend to make them neutral as much as possible because you don't want it to be stingy on your hands. Yes?
Could be a weaker acid.
Yeah, it could be super, super weak, but I know that the issue was actually it was orange. So, okay. All right. Does anybody have any questions about the results you got? Anything that you were not sure was real? Okay. How about rubbing alcohol? A bunch of you asked me about it. What did you think it was going to be? Okay. Why did you think it would be an acid? Because we use it to clean, and it stings, right? The reason that rubbing alcohol stings is that rubbing alcohol actually, this is something I just learned like 2 weeks ago. When you get rubbing alcohol on your nerve endings, it makes your body super sensitive to heat. So it's your own body heat that's making you sting. Okay, so that's why as it evaporates off, it stings less and less because you're getting less and less sensitive to your own body heat. So it makes you allergic to you a little tiny bit. It also is really good for like offing the bacteria and stuff. So that's why we use it even though it stings. Okay. Now hydrogen peroxide. Did any of you have a question about hydrogen peroxide? Okay. What was it? Acid, base, or neutral? Okay. So we had a couple of. It should have been neutral. All right. If it was acid, there's a couple of reasons that you could have had a wrong answer. One is if you looked at the wrong container, and the second one is as you're interpreting it, you may have actually accidentally contaminated it. So at the bottom of this, I know that all of your answers did not come out to be exactly what we expected. I know, actually walking through, how many of you had most of your answers turned out to be not what you expected? Okay, so what I want you to do now is at the bottom of your page, write 3 sources of error, because when I'm looking through this, I'm going to be looking for what your answer should have been. And if you have some other thing that could have happened, or some other thing that happened, I want you to give me a clear reason why it could have happened. Okay? Doing all right? You're doing sources of error. Sources of error. Using the same,
No, this.
mixing up substance predictions.
Mhm.
No, I'm not sure what you mean by that.
Okay, so you know how like with baking soda base, and then I did the test, and it was a base, but I accidentally put it for like say rubbing acid.
Oh, so
Or
mixing up
alcohol.
which chemical you were
Yeah.
using. Okay, so write that down. Mixing the chemical, not the prediction. Okay? You have a question, Enrique? Yeah. But turning funny colors, but not actually being readable?
Yeah, like
Okay.
what happened with the dish?
Okay, so turning a different color than you expected, like one that you couldn't read?
Yeah.
Okay, so maybe put that you can, but actually not able to read? Okay. All right, so you guys, the bell is ringing in roughly 20 seconds. Okay, no, listen. Whoa. Tomorrow your comp books are due, so please remember if it doesn't pass the shake test, and we'll pick up on our logarithm stuff.